morning. It's Mindfulness on Monday with me and Sune. How are you today, Sune?
I'm good. How are you, Philippa?
I'm better than I was this time 2 weeks ago. Yeah, which is
Yeah,
good. I'd had a crazy morning, slightly less crazy this morning, so that's always nice.
good.
But today is the first day of Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is really important that
Totally.
isn't it? That we raise awareness and have conversations and share stories. And
Yeah.
so, this is why we come and expose ourselves on this platform. And I was saying that a lot of the reasons that people come to mindfulness, or some of the reasons anyway, is about that self-exploration, uh, coming to understand ourselves better. And,
Mm.
and the driver for that is oftentimes that people have experienced times of challenge, mental health
Yeah.
challenges. Yeah, and I can definitely speak to that.
Yeah, I listened to something last. I think I joined a mindfulness session, and the guy was also saying the reason why he started was because it was just as if the magic in life had gone. And I thought, that is, yeah, that's such a nice way of putting it as well, isn't it? You just everything just feels a bit grey, a bit, and a bit, what's the point kind of thing. And I think it's that in between. You're not really clinically depressed, and you're also not flourishing, and you're kind of in between, isn't it? It's that,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think that you make a very good point, actually, that you don't have to be all wrong. Maybe it is that you're just not all right.
Mm,
So yeah, I like that you say that because sometimes we feel like yesterday I'll tell you this story. I was in town on my own, and I was sitting in a cafe outside, and there was a family with young children, two little boys, and my little boys are now 21 and about to be 18.
yeah. Well,
And I was watching this family with, oh my gosh, it was such a flashback. And do you know what? I realized in that moment that I am really, really upset about, this transition that I'm finding myself in of, them not needing me, not confiding in me.
yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm finding this hard. Anyway, so like I say, you don't have to be all wrong. But in that moment, I didn't feel quite all right, shall we say.
Yeah.
Oh, and then of course, I did say this to you, didn't I? That a couple of weeks ago, I did have a complete meltdown. Yeah, I did mention that to you.
Mm,
Because, the thing is that it's really good for us to be here sharing our expertise and sharing our knowledge, but
mm.
also sharing our stories that keep us human. And, I don't know if it was the full moon. It wasn't the time of the month, but it could have been my, menopausal,
Fluctuation dips.
yeah, roller coaster. But I really lost my beep.
Rag.
Oh, rag. There you go. I like that one. That word is better than the one I was thinking.
The beep.
So, and I said to you, it's sometimes you kind of wonder, oh, what is it all about?
Yeah.
And you said, you know what, and I've forgotten what you said actually, so you might want to say it again.
Well, yeah, I think what mindfulness teaches us is just to lessen that rate, or to just not be so reactive to our inner world and to our immediate emotions, and to create that little bit of a breathing space to just decenter from the chaos and choose a different response, a more mindful response in line with, the attitudes of mindfulness, the kindness, compassion, caring. But I think, without having that skill, it's just so easy to completely lose it and then and that reaction is something that we can feel really bad about later, things that we've said, the actions we may have taken, the things that we do to make it all better. And that is not conducive to happy, healthy relationships, I think, with ourselves and also with others. But I think, what you're saying is just that we're human, right? And we have reactions, and we do have our buttons pushed, and and so, yeah, I guess sometimes, especially with people that we love and care for, that it's almost the worst sometimes, the reaction to that. So I mean, and that's one of the reasons I started practicing and doing what I'm doing, is that I didn't know what to call it. I thought I was just moody and angry, but it was just, yeah, getting triggered and reacting instantly without having any rest or not knowing what to do with that. Like, that was my default. Yeah, that was my default way of being, is that if I'm being triggered, I react. And that is usually through, getting angry, irritable, impatient, and quite mean, and not very nice. And
and then the guilt that goes
yeah,
along afterwards is what
yeah,
I was saying to you. The guilt is so profoundly, disabling, and so the consequences of losing control or reacting in the moment are long lived thereafter. After the effect.
Whereas now, I think, like, I still lose my beep, with especially with my daughter, unfortunately, because she just sometimes presses my buttons. But and now I've always thought that I'm emotionally intelligent, quite self-aware, but this has added another layer for me where I can go, you know what, I am sorry about my reaction. I'm not perfect. I was angry. I felt like this. This is what happened. So please, it's not about you. It's about me. But, it's not your fault that I reacted like that. I didn't like what you did. That doesn't make you bad. And it doesn't make me bad. So I think it's just having that conversation and then bringing in that kindness towards yourself, that compassion of, you know what? Yeah, I didn't act in line with maybe my values or the kind of person I want to be right now. But yeah, then being able to go, okay, well, actually, maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm depleted in some other way. And that also contributed to the reaction. But being able to, without what do you call it? Analysis paralysis, to the point where you have to go write a novel about it, but just taking a few moments to assess the situation a bit differently, and bringing in that kindness and compassion towards yourself and to the other person or to the situation, and go, I'm sorry, I am working towards being better.
Working towards being better. Yeah, I mean, it is, life's a journey, and we are all in a work in progress. And I was, I think this piece around emotional intelligence is very important. And actually, this goes really to our frame of reference, and that invariably takes us back to our childhood. And and so I was listening to Dr. Chatterjee again at the weekend. I do love Dr. Chatterjee.
Yeah, he's brilliant, isn't he?
He's so good. And he was talking to a chap, Mark. What did I say his name was? Mark Brackett. How could one forget?
Yeah, that's rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. So, and Mark's been working in with emotional intelligence. He's a PhD. He's a lecturer at university, and he teaches courses. And so he's come up with a model. And models are great, aren't they, for simplification and and helping us to visualize situations as well, I think. So his model, the acronym is RULER. And I think the reason he's chosen that is because he does a lot of work in schools
Okay.
and with educators.
Yeah, that's a good.
That kind of fits, doesn't it? But if you, I'm going to read it out to you. Are in ruler recognizing emotions in yourself and in others. So this is the first step, to recognize when we're feeling emotional. And actually, you know what, the thing that I find is that you might say, oh, I'm angry, but actually there's a lot of different words that might describe that emotion. And he has this, he's got a fabulous dictionary, I suppose you could call it, to help us, because it isn't, it's not just anger is more or less the consequence. It's more around frustration, or perhaps you're feeling vulnerable, or so the emotion that goes under, that kind of underpins this, it's really interesting to have the vocabulary as well. We're not always very good at having that vocabulary, and so then we understand the consequences and causes of emotions, label emotions. I think this might have been the bit where he was talking about the different kinds of emotions, and then expressing emotions appropriately. This is something that is, if you were, raised to be seen and not heard, or then that's something we're not necessarily going to be very good at. And the regulation, the emotional regulation, is what we're talking about when we lose the plot. we're kind of deregulated. And interestingly, menopause is a time of emotional deregulation. So the centers in the brain are, I found myself swearing when I would never have been swearing before. And
that trigger, that flick is switched. The trigger is triggered much easier, much quicker.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like that, and the idea that for what you're saying, when you do, if on the occasion when we do lose the plot, particularly with our children, to try and articulate, even after the fact, what exactly it was that was going on. I was feeling whatever you were feeling, and unfortunately the consequence was that this happened, and of course invariably involves an apology of some kind.
That's such a great, it's a great acronym. I can so see how that works in a school setting, actually, because to teach children or teenagers, they're all children, right? To teach them that ability to vocalize what they're feeling. And like you're saying, anger is almost a secondary thing, isn't it? Because the underlying things are fear, shame, sadness, and then that just gets expressed as that emotion. And I think that labeling is very good, because then you're not identifying with it. It's not so much about that you are that, it's just that those emotions are present and those feelings are present, rather than you becoming that angry person. It's not, you are not the angry person, it's just that this is what's happening in your inner world. And and recognizing it. And I mean, it's not the same, but like the RAIN acronym that Tara Brach uses a lot, the recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture, and can be different things for different people. But I think, and we do one in MBCT where it's also firstly recognizing what is present in your inner world. How is the body feeling? What are the emotions that are present? What are the feelings? And what is the impulse? What is that thing that you want to do? And then centering. And once you've kind of feel more grounded, you're able to move to make a decision, or the next steps of your day are from a much more informed and grounded place rather than a immediate reaction place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Is I don't think we get taught to label. And it's funny because we had friends here yesterday, and my daughter and my friend's girl, they're about the same age, but they were not feeling it yesterday. Like they were not happy with, I don't know what was going on, but it's so easy to want to interfere with that and sit them down and talk. And I was like, they need to just also figure it out for themselves, and also express those words. And that was probably a good learning of. They got very defensive when we was, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to, what is the reason underneath that, really? Yeah, later on it was fine, but yeah, it's interesting to watch that also from a distance and go.
Yeah, well, it is, and it's kind of uncomfortable. Like you say, you do want to intervene to smooth the waters over.
Yeah, we want to fix it, right? And because it's not because being angry, we have this tendency to put emotions in categories of good emotions and bad emotions, and they're not. They're just emotions. And yeah, I think you're right. It's like, oh, we need to fix this because they're fighting and they're not getting, well, they weren't fighting. They were just doing the silent treatment towards each other. And, then it's so easy to want to fix it because they need to be happy and they need to play with each other and it needs to be all just wonderful, but they're not. And that's also okay. It's also okay to. Yeah, I'm just thinking now because they weren't, and I wonder if that's part of our conditioning as well, right? And, shouting is bad, or saying that you're angry is almost, sorry, I'm just, my mind is off on a tangent, but.
I'm always transported back to the days when I was living in America and my son was between the ages of 5 and 9. My youngest son, the interesting child, that I'll call him. And so we had quite a few challenges with him at this stage. But what I really loved was with other American families, how this was okay. But what would very much happen was that mums would have the children and just try and kind of work through it. It was almost like they were workshopping this scenario, So, and labeling emotions was very much a part of that. I felt they were very good at, and it was, for me, it was the sort of, we were in the naughty step territory. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and so I did, I was exposed to the how valuable those kinds of techniques are. And okay, it's not always practicable. You're in the middle of the supermarket, somebody's having a meltdown, there's the clock's ticking on the car park.
Yeah.
But when opportunities arise for us to model behavior, problem solving essentially, really, isn't it? Problem solving type behaviors. And for us to really walk little ones through it, then you are giving them those skills that as adults, sometimes I wish I had a few more of.
Yeah, exactly. You wish, Anyway, we can't turn the clock back.
It would be quite a long way back that we'd have to. But no, but then again, this is the thing. But we are never too old to learn new tricks.
Yeah, and I think this is the beauty. It's like the practice, right? It's like every breath is a new beginning. Every in-breath is a new beginning. Every out-breath is a letting go. And every moment of your day can be a new beginning. And I think that's so liberating in a way, because you think, okay, well, it's not all a write-off. from the next moment, the literally the next thing I can do is from a different place, from a different different sense of, different way of being and operating in this world, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely love what you just said. I think it's a fabulous place to finish today. And I want you to say it one more time. Every
What
in
did
breath.
I say?
Pause.
Oh, every in breath, every in breath a new beginning, and every out breath a letting go, or a letting be.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's almost like it really makes it doesn't make anything, but it just brings so much profoundness to each breath, I think, that we take for it.
For granted.
There's a lot of blurring going on here today, but
This is okay. Well, I thank you so much for that wisdom.
yeah.
I think it's all, on this Mental Health Awareness Week, to bring the focus into the mind with the breath, and every breath is an opportunity to begin again.
Yeah.
If things go awry, then we have every opportunity to just begin again with a clean slate.
Yeah.
And so we're not meeting this time next week, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. And thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Philippa. Have a great week.
You too. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye bye.